For my consideration paid for by the following Bootios. Bootios. They make sure you ain't booty. Whatever the hell that means. Also by Granola, the cola that makes you go. Remember, use responsible. Not recommended for people with overactive platters. From the makers of Piss My Stupid Beer. Good Granola today.
I'm Killer Kyle.
Welcome to another episode of Wheels of Fury. Hey, me and Matt here. This is Killer Kyle, and welcome to another episode of Wheels of Fury. And as you could tell, we have two main titles for our main event. We've got In Your House 1995.
Yeah, got the world title here and the Intercontinental title here. If Matt had told me what he was planning, I would have brought my belt, but whatever.
Well, they're both the same size. Yours is humongous. So,
But you put those two together and it'd probably be the size of mine.
probably.
Anyway.
So this was a good show. Just actually did a quick review of it again. But
Yeah, watching the review of it, you got all the matches. What it seemed to be, there's a lot of things that were cut during the editing process of the show to be put on YouTube.
right.
I mean, Know Who Won kind of, well, not really seeing how matches finished, but
Yeah.
it's what it is.
It was a good show, and I
Yeah.
mean, 1995 is where I started to drop off as a wrestling fan for a couple years. I watched it as a casual fan, but not really religiously as I would back in 98. But nonetheless, this was a really good show, and I mean, there was a lot of matches to get through. Some matches we didn't see. The dark matches obviously were not featured on here. I didn't see Taker and Mabel, which were planned on the show,
Mm,
but they did have a long-standing feud in 95.
yeah. Of course, there's the incident where Mabel splashed Taker in the corner and busted his orbital bone. He
Yeah,
had to wear that phantom-looking mask, which they ended up finding. Episode of Most Wanted Treasures, Undertaker had this storage locker with a lot of his old, memorabilia and stuff, and he did in a bag, black, kind of like duffel bag, or not duffel bag, but like a black bag.
yeah,
There was this mask that he wore in that time period, and then, of course, the purple gear he wore for maybe a year.
about, yeah.
That they wanted to find, and yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there are a few dark matches here. Fatu versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley,
Yeah.
which I'm sure was a good match. Obviously, this was the first year of Hunter Hearst Helmsley,
Yeah.
later to be known obviously as Triple H.
Yes.
What a stellar career that guy's had.
Oh, absolutely, of course. Fatu would go on and later be known as Rikishi.
Yeah. We have this match also in the dark match, Goldust versus Sparky Plug or Bob Holly.
Bob Spark Plug Holly.
Yeah. And I'm sure this was a good match too. Obviously, Goldust, another eccentric character. Obviously, Dustin Rhodes. I guess they figured they'd take on Dustin and just put Gold Dust. Whatever.
I don't know, maybe.
Anyways, Gold Dust won.
Ahmed Johnson against Skip.
Skip and Zip.
Skip and Zip, yeah.
With Sonny,
Yeah,
Chris Candido, and Tammy Cinch
yes,
did date in real life.
yes,
And then, he passed away shortly afterwards
yeah,
during his TNA days. So that's,
yeah.
yeah. And Ahmed Johnson, too. The first African-American WWE Intercontinental Champion.
Yes,
His career didn't go as planned. I was trying to think of other ways to say it, but,
yeah.
he had the thing with Legion of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he was short time in Nation of Domination.
Yes,
But, yeah, somebody that could have been a future WWE champion if
things went right.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
mm,
We should say Ahmed Johnson got the win in that match.
yes.
As mentioned, Undertaker versus King Mabel. Those two had physical matches.
Yeah.
When they fought, when wrestled each other, I mentioned about Taker getting his orbital bone broken by Mabel. Mabel charged across the ring at him and splashed him. I think it was incidental contact with his fist or something somehow and broke his orbital bone.
Yeah, and Nelson Frazier is probably the most underrated wrestler in WWE.
Definitely one of the more underrated big men in the business.
Like, I'm not sure where he and the rest of Men on a Mission, well, actually Mo, wrestled in that company.
Yeah.
But, coming into WWE, then you got Men on a Mission with Oscar, then of course King Mabel, which, it is what it is. And then Viscera, Big Daddy V, of course, he wrestled in traditional championship wrestling for a while before he passed away.
Yes.
And, it's a big shame, no pun intended. But, Undertaker's always been that guy, and I think that, accidents happen, and I'm sure that wasn't really meant to happen. And,
No.
They had definitely put on some really good matches.
Yes. Now we go to the main card, and the first match on the main card is Savio Vega against Waylon Mercy. Now here's a dude that really didn't have a very long career in the WWF.
No.
He wrestled for quite a bit of time. Him and Undertaker were the skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Of course, Waylon Mercy then was known as Dangerous Dan Spivey.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really a shame that we didn't see too much of him
Yeah.
in WWE. Now, obviously, didn't watch him when he was in the skyscrapers, but man, what could have been? He definitely inspired the Bray Wyatt character.
I think so.
So I think it was interesting just to see that happen later down the line. But yeah, Waylon Mercy definitely somebody that should have had a fair shake in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Savio Vega, another one of the guys who definitely. I'm gotta see what kind of championships, if you ever won the Intercontinental Championship, even in WWE, but definitely one of the best Hispanic wrestlers of his time in WWE.
Yeah, I don't think Savio won the IC title. I'm not sure if Savio ever won any titles in his WWF tenure. Of course, it was later on in the 90s he formed the group Los Bardiquas.
Yes. So Savio Vega had won the match despite having the sleeper hold put on him.
Yes.
by Will and Mercy. We now go on to Psycho Sid Justice with Ted DiBiase. And I believe this was the $1 Million Corporation.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. The Charles Wright or Kama. And then, of course, the awful heel version of Tatanka, Nikolai Volkov. But anyway, this match was with Henry Godwin.
Yes.
And I was saying to Kyle, the lead up to this match, he had an awful, like, 2 power bombs on the apron from Sid.
Floor, actually.
Well, floor, yeah. This match was pretty cool. You know, Henry did a really good job. He was actually a really good wrestler, you know, for having that gimmick as well. Yeah, 'cause these guys would have these kind of goofy gimmicks, but they could really wrestle.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, obviously Sid won, and then you had Ted DiBiase get attacked by Bigelow, and then Kama came out holding Bigelow.
After Sid got the win on Henry,
Yeah,
Ted grabbed the slop bucket, and Sid went over and grabbed the bucket too, and they were both fighting over who was gonna slop Henry, because
yeah,
Henry previously had slopped Sid, and so Sid was wanting to get revenge on that, and I think Ted was wanting to get revenge for Sid, and then, you know, Bam Bam came out, and then Kama came out, and both Sid and Kama were holding Bam Bam, and it looked like Ted was gonna slap Bam Bam, and Henry came out from behind and grabbed the bucket and put it over Ted's head.
yeah.
New drinking game. Say, take a shot every time you say Bam Bam.
Or Ted.
Okay.
So, speaking of Bam Bam, you've got this match. The first of 2 matches that this man's gonna wrestle in this night.
Mm-hmm.
You got the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, who had just turned heel,
Yes.
and joined Cornette and Yokozuna and Owen Hart. And this was pretty cool, you know. It got a role reversal. You always had Bam Bam as the heel and Bulldog as the face. But now that the roles are reversed, and, you know, this is the year where you have WrestleMania 11.
Yep.
Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor.
Yes.
And, yeah, one of the more interesting gimmick matches, I guess. Or, you know, whatever you want to call it. This was a good match, and of course Bam Bam put out all the stops and tried to put away the Bulldog. The Bulldog tried to put a running power slam on Bigelow, but failed.
Yeah.
And then Bulldog actually ended up getting the win. But
Maybe with the running power slam, maybe a different means. Who the heck knows?
yeah. Now during the night you had Jim Cornette try to get a tag team partner for Yokozuna.
Because for some reason Owen hadn't showed up to the arena.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's talking to Mabel, he's talking to Sid.
That would have been a hell of a team, Yokozuna and Sid, or even Yokozuna and Big Mabel.
Oh, hell yeah.
Candido.
Yokozuna and Mabel? Can you imagine Mabel as the WWE champion?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Vince. Anyways. So we have this match. Dean Shane Douglas versus Razor Ramon.
The bad guy.
With Mr. Bob Backlund and Dean Douglas's corner. And you know, yeah, they had a good back and forth, but I forget that Shane Douglas has been one of the best wrestlers of his time. And the fact of the matter is, you have a guy like Shane Douglas, a guy that has had many championships, in many federations, including WCW, including NWA, including ECW. And he comes over to WWE. He wins the title, the Intercontinental title, for 11 minutes. Now, this was afterwards, obviously. But Jesus Christ, 11 minutes? You couldn't have Shane Douglas as the IC title for more than 11 minutes? What did he ever do to deserve that? Imagine what could have happened. Dean Douglas and Razor Ramon as having a good feud for the IC title. But 11 minutes. Razor Ramon squashes Shane Douglas after Shawn Michaels has a match. Forfeits the Intercontinental Championship because he's got his boo-boo feelings hurt when he gets his ass kicked by Reigns. So now, this match was very impressive because you had Shane. Well, he cheated. He actually won. He beat Razor Ramon. I guess it doesn't matter. You know, even his TNA run, he had championships. If you had him at least a few months, or even a month, as the Intercontinental Champion, it would have been great. Imagine what you could have done with him.
Imagine what you could have done with Shane Douglas, Dean Douglas at this point in time, had he not had such a fucking shitty gimmick. Are you kidding me? Dean Douglas? Come on now. A man that his caliber, his ring IQ, his ring savvy, his ring skill, and you give him this teacher gimmick? And what the hell is Bob Backlund doing coming to the ring carrying a fucking dictionary? Are you shitting me? Like, okay, at this point in time, he was, Mr. Bob Backlund. He was campaigning to be president or mayor of a city, whatever the hell it was. But, like, you don't need him going to the ring with a dictionary in his hand. I think that only lasted a short period of time, though. And as far as, Dean Douglas is concerned, yeah, for 11 minutes, I mean, okay, that's one thing. But, I mean, like, the whole thing was just not that great. And it wasn't long before he went back to ECW. And then, went on from there.
It's just such a waste. And that's typical Shawn at that time. I'm not gonna wrestle because I'm too good, so use the title. Just like the WWF Championship when he lost a smile, playing the crowd like a fiddle. That was the worst thing that I ever seen on professionalism. But you know what? It was still a good match. I really enjoyed it. And it got to show both wrestlers at their best. At that time, I think, and I still stand by it, what I said just now, Shane Douglas, the franchise, should have had a better chance at WWF.
Apparently, Shawn Michaels sounds like Kermit the Frog.
Oh, you have no idea.
Anyway. Yeah, we go on now to a match that was a fairly good rivalry at this point in time in the WWF. Didn't really last very long, but I mean, for what it was worth, it was actually pretty good. You got the Hitman, Bret Hart, against Jeanpierre Lafitte.
Oui.
Oui, ho ho ho!
Yeah. Over a fucking jacket.
Yeah, that part's stupid, but
I know Jeanpierre Lafitte had stole a bunch of things as, I don't know why, it was
pirate.
Just stupid. Yeah, pretty much. Imagine that, a guy who eventually became PCO.
Crazy, right?
I know. But this was a good match too. And talk about technician match, Jeanpierre definitely one of the, brawler type guys. But, Bret starting the match. And then, of course, you have false moves like jumping off the top rope and having Jeanpierre with his leg up or Bret with his leg up. And then Bret eventually slapping on the sharpshooter, getting the win. But there was a time before that when the Quebecers came back.
Yes.
And Jeanpierre had that gimmick, but also Jacques Rougeau had sort of the same gimmick type thing for some reason. I don't know what that was about. But, Jacques Rougeau left and, Jeanpierre had a singles career. But after that, I'm not sure where he went.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a decade and a half or whatever in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty impressive. And, the fact that Jeanpierre was stacked as well. Just the body type. I have no idea what was with the eye patch, but
I think it was just part of the gimmick they were trying for, but not really that understood, I don't think.
yeah. So now you have a take team, the winner take all match. You've got the two dudes with the attitudes.
Diesel, of course, at the time was the WWF champion. Shawn was the Intercontinental champion.
Yep. And this match definitely was awesome. You've got Yokozuna, and of course, the British Bulldog filling in for Owen Hart. No one knew where he was at the time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he had a sumo-style matchup with Shawn Michaels and Yokozuna. That was the shits.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Bulldog and Kevin Nash were very good. Kevin Nash being the powerhouse, well, both of them being powerhouses.
Mm.
Owen Hart came in during the end of the match.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash pinned the Bulldog as Yokozuna was distracted by Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
And the two dudes with attitudes became
Two Chaps stole the straps.
hell yeah. And this, this was a good send-off, I think this was a good show. I mean, this was one of those things where wrestling at that time, it was very gimmicky, but it was also very, very fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think that, as I've said, I didn't watch 95 too much. The last thing I really do remember was Diesel beating Bob Backlund in less than a minute or so. And, that was pretty much it. Like, I became a casual fan up until 98 again. But this was a good show. And I think that, next week is going to be NXT TakeOver in your house. And last year, if any indication, this show is going to be awesome.
Oh, there's one match on the card coming up next weekend that I'm sure Matt and I will geek o'clock out over.
Oh, yeah. I think we'll get on a lot of matches.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, the one you're thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
But, anyways. So, for Killer Kyle, I mean Matt, and this has been another episode of Wheels of Fury. Thank you, fuck you, bye.
Peace.